Welcome, Gemini. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, getting ready to do your full moon reading in Gemini. This is obviously affecting the central area of your life through which you view the world, your perception, your focus, your intention. So this last full moon of the year occurring on the 4th of December is really opening you up to the last final review of what you've learned, not just throughout this year, but throughout a number of years. For some of you, up to decades, depending on other placements in your chart. You're having a chance to finally release and unburden yourself from the kinds of baggage that you have been carrying, the misperceptions about your power, who you are, and what you're capable of. So this is really beautiful energy that we're dealing with, and it is proceeding on the way to the winter solstice, and that symbolically represents the return to the light. It is in Sagittarius, the opposite sign. So we are taking care of all the details of our most recent healing, perhaps reviewing contracts and agreements, projects we started late summer throughout the fall. And we will be going back over the shadow period until early December. So this is a really healing time for many of you. I'm going to start with an oracle card to get us started here. And I pulled Growth of Energy. This is interesting. One of the features of this particular full moon is that your ruling planet Mercury is very much in focus and has been a part of this regular and consistent retrograde pattern that we are adjusting to. In fact, we're utilizing it to retrain our brains and to integrate our thoughts with our impulse towards compassion, not just for others, particularly for ourselves. So the planet of Mercury, Hermes, Thoth are all about the way thought perceives and structures our reality, our perception of reality. And the Mercury, having moved recently direct, is highly supported by both Saturn, which has also moved direct in Pisces, and Jupiter, all in water signs in a beautiful harmonious aspect to one another. So your thinking, your review, your assessment, your critique, or critical thinking skills are being supported by the desire for structure, to manifest, to utilize the power of the magician / the trickster. So this is a lot about strategizing, knowing when to open up to unexpected truths and when to be silent. So this growth of energy is something that you're literally seeing in the progress of the planet Mercury at this time. Your overall energy for this reading, the Goddess of Wings, in this deck, this is the King of Swords, and this is very consistent with the kind of intellectual energy strategies that you're able to employ in a way that can create a lightness to what can be very heavy, very serious. You're able to recognize and open yourself up to inviting the experience of others into your consideration. And this almost has a kind of judgment energy to it. So I see you recognizing that you are facilitating the growth of a group or individuals through conversation, through written discourse, through presentation, to a different level of truth, which is inclusive of relieving ourselves from the kind of responsibilities and obligations that we recognize are no longer our responsibility. It isn't as though you're dropping responsibility or obligation to others. By no means. You are preparing to move up to advance your understanding of your responsibility, first and foremost, to your inspiration, your intentions, and your goals. And this is you shifting your obligations in a way that makes your work easier by doing more. So as you shift your role, your responsibilities, you actually recognize answering to your own standards is a higher calling for you than it is to answer to the expectations of others. In the present moment, we have the Justice card. This is quite appropriate given, I believe, the nature of balancing that is always fairly consistent with your temperament, Gemini. This balancing the heart and the mind, the duality, the twin energy, recognizing that you are learning to think differently. And as a result of that, you are communicating differently. You're also, in this case, as you elevate your sense of responsibility to the commons, you are knowing when it is appropriate to engage, when it is appropriate to listen. And so, in that way, you are elevating your level of responsibility to making the contribution that you're here to make. So it almost feels like there's no more excuses for you, if there ever were. And I do believe that your energy is such that you are always engaged in information, data sharing, communication, learning, growing, gathering the details of the truth. But this feels as though you are taking greater ownership of this special gift that you have in terms of putting yourself out there more, taking more responsibility for the experiences of others in your community. In the past, we have the Nine of Vessels. The Nine of Cups is about your readjustment. It almost feels like a recalibration that hasn't been occurring as part of your healing process. And it's interesting that the focus has been very much on your emotional sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, feeling good, moving towards things that support you, eliminating the resistance in providing for others in a way that you are able to fulfill better this sense of contribution, of sharing, of working with your feelings, the information and wisdom of your body is a heavier load in some ways, but it is a higher load of responsibility again. And this is telling me that you have learned to listen not only to your thoughts, you use your thoughts to interpret your feelings, to allow them, to describe them, to elaborate upon them, recognizing that your body is what informs you of what's working and what is not. And you have been learning over this long healing process, and it isn't as though this healing process has a time stamp on it. It starts and ends in a specific way. I think many of you are aware that these are lifetime projects, and we mature and grow in various ways, but our particular triggers, traumas, stories require unique and strategic solutions to tease out what can be painful, what can reflect on a lot of what we reveal to be self-inflicted damage. In the future, the Nine of Discs. The two nines here are very positive for your sense of independence and integrity. This is re-emphasizing the idea that you're moving towards your own standards of practice, your own principles and elements of contribution. how you hold yourself responsible for how you have invested in your life, recognizing that often you are the one who has been in your way. And this is a huge contribution to the sense that you've already been doing the work. It is a shift in the intention of that work and the sense of centering yourself in the purpose of that work. So, what is good for you, what feels good to you, what allows you to make decisions that are best for you is the strong sense of independence, of knowing that you can do for yourself, not that you don't need anyone. This is not about that. This is about whatever community, relationship, team, collaboration you're involved in, you have your independent space and position that informs you of the best way for you to move in any scenario. That comes from a history of recognizing the investments you've been making all along in the personal development that you now see reflected in your successful efforts and in your personal growth. If this reading is resonating for you so far, Gemini, please like this video, share this with others if you feel inclined to do so, and subscribe to Pacific Tarot. I appreciate all the energy that you support me with, your presence here, chiefly among them. So thank you for that. And I'm going to clarify and then finish up with another oracle card. So the Nine of Vessels in the past is clarified by the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles, again, the Nine of Discs. This is lovely. I'm feeling that this great ability to think independently, to think critically for yourself, the way that you have been translating that for others has shifted for you some time ago. What that immediately created was a sense of uh, needing to be strategic, needing to figure everything out. And this may have been the way that you proceeded in the past in order to feel comfortable with your position, with your responsibility in any environment. But you're actually recognizing that without centering yourself in any effort that you make, that you are not trusting yourself. And some of the strategies, skills you've inherited throughout your experience have been gained from the wisdom of others, mentors, teachers, colleagues who have helped you, shown you efficient ways to be productive. And those have used to weigh on you as a feature of the responsibilities and your understanding of how the ideas are woven together into a perspective or a set of goals, a context for those goals. And in fact, you have shifted the way of thinking about your goals, the goals of the team, and how you contribute to that by recognizing that it requires you to look at your own experience of self-investment. That is the way that you are informing not only your body, but encouraging your compassion, your sense of openness to support, to receiving recognition for your efforts, because you're making a lot of efforts, you're doing a lot of work. You take great pride in the amount of work you can do to maintain your independence. And this is what gives you a perspective that is more, I'm going to say neutral, even as it is grounded in your subjective experience. So this is important because you're acknowledging your perspective comes from your experience. It's not some universal on high level of truth that you're promoting here. And I think that's a really critical shift. In the present, the Justice card is clarified by the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Wands. So interesting. The twos are about reflection. They're also a number of duality, which is part of the terrain of Gemini, right? Again, the heart and the head, finding balance, the experience of the past, finding balance with what you are discovering to be a new truth, a truth that you're creating. And I do feel like here we are in magician territory. That is one of your cards. It really talks about not only the ability to utilize all the resources according to your will, your creative will. This is the liberation, the power to choose for oneself. It also informs you of the way that information, communication, learning, data can be manipulated. And so there is a way in which you quite possibly have been fooling yourself with a story that you've told about who you are or what you can do, and you're now in a position to recognize that. It's also the ability to understand that the power of information and knowledge is in and of itself neutral. It can inspire others to, like you, when you're vibrating at your highest, truest frequency, are able to create something that truly expresses your authenticity. It also can be used to shield the intentions of the wielder and to manipulate people into a position that may not, is unlikely to be authentic for them. So I do believe that you are balancing these positions as you recognize your former experiences are about this preparation that you are making as you move towards the return of the light as symbolized in the seasonal winter solstice. In the future, the Nine of Discs is clarified by the Seven of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. So the Raven deck, the Blackbird, the Crow deck is important because blackbirds, crows, ravens are messengers, much like the energy of the Roman/Greek Mercury, Hermes, Thoth as well, that these are dual natures, that these are opportunities to um, understand that you have the power to create something that is not only authentic to who you are, but expresses something profound and fundamental for others. You are providing a blueprint to some kind of success, and it largely seems to be talking about your relationships, your communities, as in contracts, agreements, celebration of growth, with the emphasis on growth, less on material prosperity or abundance. However, you are able to look at the way you've structured your independence and evaluate that again on terms of how you are doing more work with less effort. And that translates here into your collaborative efforts, the way they are structured, the consciousness of your agreements with others is again on creating a space of acknowledging growth, of celebrating that, of encouraging the sharing of information, the community of safety and protection that makes growth, which requires incredible vulnerability. It can be very frightening, overwhelming, and scary, but that is something that you, as part of a community, are supporting others to do. And elevating your efforts, again, in terms of the community, the collective, the family, the organization, however you view your social contract, this is an area that maximizes your contribution and distributes the responsibilities among others. So that is how I am defining this shift that is sometimes glibly described by me as uh, doing more or doing less and gaining more. I hope I'm clear about that. I'm going to finish this reading, Gemini, with an oracle card, and I have abundance. How interesting, because this is confirming that you are focusing your definition of abundance, shifting it in a way that you define it towards not simply being an excess of material goods. I am a limitless being and I can manifest whatever I desire in this physical reality. How absolutely beautiful, Gemini. Thank you so much for your likes and subscribes. If you enjoy this content, check more out here, and until next time, namaste.